Hello and welcome to A Dialogue With. My name is Charlie Adams. I am Director of Customer Experience at Custom Connect. And today I'm having a dialogue with Martin Teasdale. Hello, Martin.
Hello. How you doing, mate?
Doing well, thanks. Yeah, cheers. And thanks again for joining me today. It's great to have you.
No problem.
Now, I actually have to admit that when I had to think of an intro for you, I found it quite hard. And it wasn't because you haven't done anything, it's because you've done too much. So I'll try and give it a go and then I'll hand it over to you. So you are the podcast creator and host of Get Out of Rap. You are the founder of the TL community, which is an online community for team leaders. You speak at events across the UK. You're a knight in shining armor at the Contact Center Expo. And you back it all up with a long history of lots of senior jobs within contact centers. So I think it's safe to say you're a thought leader in the contact center area. Oh, you're also a marathon runner and you have a dog. Anything I've missed off?
I'm a huge Tottenham fan, but let's not go there. Um, isn't thought leader? It's one of those ones that makes me like, ugh, because actually most of my thoughts are completely bonkers. So,
They are the best
but
ones, though,
thank you,
aren't they?
but thank you very much for the intro.
No worries at all. And hopefully through the next 25 or so minutes, depends how long we go, we'll learn a bit more about you. Now I'm keen to learn a bit more because whilst we've known each other for quite a while now, and we had the fortune to bump into each other at the Contact Center Expo end of 2025, I've actually got quite a lot of questions. So I always see you doing lots of work on the team leader community, is it team leader or TL community? What's it
No,
called?
but both work. But
Both
yeah,
work.
team leader community, but TLC, TL community,
Cool.
they all work.
Yeah, because I see you doing lots on that. And you hit, is it 600 members now recently?
Well, we've just gone past 700, so
What?
702. Yeah, yeah,
That is impressive. That's good going. And you've had that running for what, 3 years?
yeah. February 2023, I launched it. I had a small group of guinea pigs that I'd been trialing on different platforms for about 3, 4 months before launch. But yeah, February 2023, we launched, and yeah, to be honest, it's my passion project. I love it. Absolutely love. I'm kind of in it all the time. Um, every single one of those 702 has taken work to get in. So yeah, but it's my happy place.
Why are you so passionate about it? What is it about the team leader community that drives you?
It started with my own experience. You know, you mentioned I've been a senior leader in our industry when I was employed, and that's true. But I spent a large part of my career, firstly as an agent on the phones, selling, and then latterly service. And then I thought, you know what, I like this industry. I like my team. I like the people around me. I like the vibe. Um, I'm gonna try and progress. So started applying for team leader jobs, and got one. And this is something I've called the magic weekend. You're told on a Friday. I start the new role on a Monday, and unfortunately, you're not visited by magical elves that weekend that bestow all the gifts of leadership upon you. And it was a baptism of fire, to say the least. I think things have progressed a lot more in our industry since then, but I had no training. It was you became the leader you thought was best, based on observation and who you are as individually. But you certainly hadn't had any training, and I inadvertently kind of alienated half my team from the get go. I was high energy,
Mm.
motivational. I wanted our team to be the best. I was very rah rah, and half my team kind of eyes rolled when I came bouncing in for a team huddle because they weren't motivated by the same things. They wanted to be communicated in a different way. Everyone has individual preferences, and I hadn't taken the time to understand them, build up relationships with them, and that set the tone, really. I think for a lot of us that have been team leaders, I had 18 people in my team. So that's 18 one-to-ones, 18 coaching sessions, 18 times 4 quality observations before you even get into managing the performance, creating team incentives, any of the company-wide projects, policy changes. Then on top of that, you've got all of the 18 human beings don't exist in a vacuum when they come to work. They have challenges in their personal life that they bring to you, or are affecting them. And it was just a tsunami of work and learning,
Mm.
and that stuck with me throughout my career afterwards as I progressed operationally to manager, head of contact center, director, and finally sort of global director. I always orientated towards team leaders. It's a bit glib and it's used often, but people say they're the most important group in our contact center, but they're probably the least supported. They are the most important because they can make or break strategy. They turn strategy into reality. That every metric we have in our industry flows through them. And like I say, when I was employed, it was always those guys that I would go and spend time with because they tell you how it is. If you want to understand what your customers are doing, how they're responding to a new product or a new service, or just in general, you don't need to spend a fortune on market research. Just go and spend some time with team leaders and develop a relationship with them so they feel comfortable enough to share with you what's actually going on. Hence the reason that it was a podcast, first of all, that gave me the vehicle to think about going self-employed. But uh, I always knew I wanted to do something for team leaders. So yeah, I just thought I'm going to set up an online community and kind of see how it goes.
Awesome. What a story. And yeah, it's interesting you talk about that magic weekend. Um, and I love it phrased like that. But you said at the start of that things have got a bit better, that people are training team leaders a little bit more. But why is there still a need? If everything you said is correct, if everything you said about needing to focus on people, needing to focus on team leaders is correct, and they're great advocates, and that's where change happens, why is there still a problem, and why is there still a need for a team leader community?
Good question. I never thought, or I don't think that the team leader community is the answer to all the ails our industry in that area. It's not to replace L&D teams; it's to complement them. The reason, though, I think, whilst I say things have got better, there's still a large majority of contacts, maybe not large, but I would still say a majority of contact centers that they will have things in place that weren't in place when I was at that stage. So a lot of people have aspiring leader programs, next generation leader programs where they start to drip feed and expose agents who've either been identified or self-identify as wanting to progress. They give them the opportunity to learn some skills and that kind of thing. Those things are all great. I think with our industry, though, the sheer pace and volume of change and competing priorities means that because team leaders very rarely put their hands up and say I'm struggling, there's a view that they can cope with everything. They generally get stuff done, so it's not like they're an identifiable problem. So you go, well, our team leaders are great. They're always performing. They always do what's needed. So therefore, everything's fine.
Yeah.
And you know, knowing team leaders like I do, their focus is on their team. So they are commit. This is a generalization, but I think in this case it's a true one. They are committed to their team. They'll do anything for their team, and it's all about them and supporting them. They will take on new challenges. They're not particularly good at saying no to senior leaders. So therefore, there doesn't seem to be a problem. And perhaps as senior leaders, your focus is elsewhere. Maybe you're thinking, I need we need to upgrade our technology. We need to think about our customer journey. We need to there's a new regulatory guidance that we need to really get under, get our understanding up to speed. The team leaders are the kind of constant part of the machine that rarely breaks down. So I think that's probably one of the key reasons why their development is often overlooked.
Yeah, you're right. It happens. It's frustrating because I've been a team leader. Absolutely loved being a team leader for all the same reasons that you just said that team leaders enjoy it as well. And then as you move up, you realize the actual real challenges on business aren't through want of trying or want of wanting to support people. Every business wants to support their people. It's
Yeah,
just you have to choose priorities.
yeah,
And it's not always easy. But it brings me on to something I wanted to discuss because you spoke about the pace of change. And it's really hard to keep up. It's really hard for businesses and team leaders to keep up. But you're always hearing, especially before Christmas and this side of the new year, everything across LinkedIn and thought leaders are always talking about their predictions for the year ahead. I'm not going to ask you that because that's boring and you'll probably say the same thing that everyone else is saying. No, no offense. But the what will be more fun because you're aware of the pace of change is what do you think contact centers will look like in 20 years' time? When we look far ahead into the future, not just for the next couple of years of AI coming in, but in 20 years' time, which would be what, 2046. Yeah, what's a contact center going to look like?
great question. I'm with you though. I've never contributed to prediction piece for anyone. I think predictions are very rarely right. There, you've got to really look at the motivation as to who's writing them and why, and those kind of things. I do think though we are in a period where the speed of change is greater than it has been at certainly any time I can remember in my career. That said, um, we've had variations of change catalysts, right? So right now it's AI. Prior to that, we had things like omnichannel speech. Yet, even with all of those things, and access to them has never been easier. Let's say the kind of cost to obtain some of this technology is less prohibitive. Um, Yet you still have, from the stats from Contact Babel, you still have like kind of 50% of people are storing results from whether it's QA or other things in Excel. You
Mm.
know, that it's there is of course a group within our industry that are at the forefront of change, but there is still, and we know customers still prefer voice across different demographics. But if I were to think, let's say, let's have some fun with this.
Mm.
I I think to believe that we'll have the same number of agents, especially those that might be single skill. So they're, let's say that they're voice agents only. It would be naive to think that those numbers aren't gonna change. So I think there'll be, in my mind, I imagine we'll probably know our industry by a different term. I think instead of contact center, there'll be kind of customer centers, customer hub. And I think what you'll have are smaller teams, better supported by technologies that have brand advocacy, retention, and delight as their central kind of raison d'etre. Right? They will be your brand in person as a customer hub that will be able to take the customer from acquisition all the way through to their life cycle of how they interact with you and your service. So I think there'll be smaller, more multi-skilled, customer centric teams that are able to do everything. I imagine some of the disciplines that we have in our industry will change dramatically. Um, So scheduling, and I think there's a common belief that we will say customer facing team members will have less transaction. We're saying this right now, yeah. So
Yeah,
less transactional stuff, more complex. For that to work, everything around them has to change. They can't have the same shifts. The level of support that they get can't be the same because there's a greater cognitive load. We can't pay them the same because we're saying this is going to be a more complex role. You'll be a problem solver. You will deal with the more complex stuff that we get, but nothing else. Everything around that has to change for that to be successful. And I'd like to think that we become, by that point, will be a career of choice rather than kind of a last resort. We will, or an accidental career like most of us have had. I think will be a career of choice. We're already an industry that is probably the best advocate in terms of usage of AI. That we're using AI right now. It's not just something to generate nice images for us or to, you know, talk to. We are using it right now to hopefully deliver good customer service and experience across all of our multiple industries. So I'd like to think optimistically that yeah, there'll be smaller teams, they'll have access and use combined and joined up technology, and the wider business will know that they are the most important. This is the most important
yeah.
function we have in terms of delighting our customers.
Great answer. And I actually agree that because the need for a service isn't going anywhere. So it's not like contact centers are going to die. They're going to change and evolve,
Mm.
and it's not like AI is going to work everyone out of a job. It's going to, as you said, change the jobs and evolve the jobs, and we will. Well, it is making them more interesting, but it will make them even more interesting in the future.
And I think we'll
Um,
have hoverboards as well by then, surely.
yeah, I think so. And can we have those jackets that when you press them they dry out if you fall in the water? They're really useful. Um, and we won't need roads.
No.
But yeah, I guess we'll probably call them experience teams, wouldn't we? Or experience hubs. And yeah, it's the brand, it's the marketing, it's the entire end-to-end experience, and it's not just rooms of people sat talking on the phone. That's part of what they do, but it's not everything. Love it. I love that future look. And it's even though I asked, can you look 20 years ahead? What you're describing is kind of coming into place in some areas already and
Yeah.
some teams already, but absolutely, I think it will probably be in fruition in 5, 10, 15 years where everyone's doing it the same way.
Because I think if we look 20 years back, how much has really changed? Not that much, I would say. I think if we were to take time machine, go back 20 years, pick someone up from that contact center, bring them to one right now, they would be happy with the positive changes, but they wouldn't feel like a fish out of water and go, "Oh God, this is so different to what I'm used to." And yes, whilst AI, it seems like a game changer from a technology point of view and the possibilities that that opens up. I still think we would be able to recognize our industry in 20 years in the future.
That is a great point because you're right. When I remember walking into contact center for the very first time back in 2009 when I accidentally fell into it, and the wallboard pretty much looks like wallboards look now. Nothing's changed. It still records the same data, the same stats. Um, that's mad. So do you think you got me thinking now? So if say you didn't describe what a contact center was to somebody, but you described the problem and the need, as in to service people, do you think they would create a contact center to solve that problem? Or do you think if you literally pretend contact centers never existed and you had to solve a need, would you create something different?
That's a great question. And I think without that being the question, people have been trying to provide the solution to that anyway. Like a big push on self-serve, for example, was, well, actually, wouldn't it be easier if our customers could do everything without necessarily needing to speak or text or type to one of us,
Yeah.
they can just do they can just do everything. And I don't think it's as arbitrary as saying, well, that hasn't worked, because for some things and for some customers, absolutely, there's absolutely loads of things we can do without needing to engage with a human representative of a brand. So I think we would create something that we would call a contact center. It's funny because there's a lot of places um, that don't call themselves contact centers, and you think, well, yeah, you are. You are absolutely a contact center. So maybe we get hung up on applying that badge to things and say, well, yeah, you are a contact center. Does it really matter? Probably not. But I think we would come up with something that looks like or we would at least recognize disciplines and functions as those of a contact center.
Makes
What do
sense.
you think?
It's great. Yeah, it's to be honest, I don't know because I love because I come from like a design, well, I say design background. I was trained in interior design, so it's not real design. But I like to do that magic one, pretend something didn't exist, and always start from the ground up because that's when you get, the best ideas and you brainstorm and you come out with, okay, so what is it? What is the real solution? Not how do we make a contact center better, but how do we make a better solution overall and pretend we didn't have a contact center in the first place? But yeah, I guess that's
That that exercise is so useful because if it does make you question things. If you take the concept of the IVR, for example, that is not with the customer in mind, I don't think. You as a customer, I would want to get through to you quickly. Let's say it's you,
mhm,
and you can solve my problem no matter what. What we somehow though we created something that meant I have more effort. I know that I'm going to go through a system. I'm going to have to
mhm.
select where it might be wrong. I'll be transferred. When I'm transferred, I'll have to repeat myself again. That again, things like that I find fascinating. And I do know of at least two companies in different sectors that have said, no, we're just doing away with it. You're going to come through to me straight away. And that kind of, again, it's similar sort of exercise where you're saying, why do we do it this way?
Yeah, completely agree. I hate IVRs. No, do you know the thing I hate about it? It's designed from an analog era, whereas now when it says press one for this, I have to get my phone. I have to change my phone to show the actual numbers on it before I can then choose a number. It's madness. It's not designed for mobile phones. But no, completely agree. So we're nearly running out of time. I'm afraid, Martin, it's been a great conversation, but let's let's before we close up, let's close up with a couple of quick questions. What are contact centers really getting right at the moment?
I think one thing that stood the test of time that we've always got right is you will not find an industry more committed to doing the right thing. Um, you cannot ever look at a contact center and say they're not trying hard, that they're not constantly trying to find ways to improve their service and everything that goes into that, trying to better their teams, better the output. There's a constant strive to be better. Um, and the other thing I think that they are getting right is the impact that they have in on their local community. We are a people based industry, and again a generalization, but we attract people who want to help. They want to help customers. They want to help each other. And, in terms of giving back, whether it is support of local charities, using volunteer days to go and help clean up a primary school garden, the amount of work and the amount of good that contact centers do for their local communities doesn't see the light of day, doesn't get the kind of kudos that it deserves. And that's not why people do it,
Hmm.
but I think it's something that we don't talk about often. So yeah, striving to be better and a positive impact on people and local communities where there are contact centers are the things that we're getting right, and I think we always have.
Great. Actually, love it. So finally, where can people find you? If they want to learn more, if they want to contact you, find out about the TL community, how can they do it?
LinkedIn is probably the best place. Martin Teasdale on LinkedIn, or my website, martinteasdale.com. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll probably get very fed up with seeing my face on there, or maybe enjoy more that I like to post a lot of things about my dog.
And your marathon. You're running the London Marathon in April.
And so are you. So we're
I
gonna.
am, yes.
I think we'll only see each other at the start. I imagine you're faster than me, but yes, I'm running the London Marathon for Action Aid. I did it last year again for Action Aid, great charity for women and girls around the world. And I did say to my family at the end, I'm never, ever, ever doing a marathon again. Um, Fast forward a couple of months, and after a request from Action Aid, I said yes, much to the annoyance of my family, because as you know, the training's a commitment, a real commitment.
Train, yeah. Training is hard. And it's not just a commitment to you, it is a commitment to the family. You have
Yeah,
to go running 4+ times a week. And sometimes when you get to the long runs, you have to
mm,
disappear for 2 hours on a Sunday. And then you have to
yeah,
put up with the pain of not being able to walk. So it's
yeah.
hard work.
I'm only like you. I'm only at the start of week 2 of the 16-week program,
Mm.
and even though I did it last year, I'm already at that point where I'm thinking, how on earth did I go out and run? Like you say, the second part of the plan, you're running, yeah, 4 or 5 times a week, and the long run minimum 2 3 hours, and it's not just it's not just those hours you're out, is it? It is, like you say, when you get back, you're a complete jellyhead. So
Yeah. But you'll do it. I'm sure you'll do it because you did it last time. You'll get to the start line, which is the main thing. And I'll make sure that when we post this, we'll put links to your marathon running, links to TL community, and obviously link to yourself on LinkedIn as well, so people can find you. Yeah, so cheers, Martin. We're now at the end
no,
of the
no
time.
problem.
Thanks for joining me.
Really enjoyed it, and great questions. Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah, we'll speak again soon. And thanks to everyone or anyone that's watching for joining us today. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.